Hunter Biden is really trying to get this plea deal done before any more cocaine pops up at the White House. He is aware that the Republicans are at the gates. According to one Democratic strategist, they say that the Republicans smell blood. James Comer is all over it. We're going to wrap up this segment with a conversation from him where he says that they are now entering the deposition phase. The Oversight Committee and congressional Republicans have been sending letters for a long period of time, but they've got a witness now who is going to come in and knows a bunch about Hunter. We're going to hear who that is. But first, I want to start by going through this letter from Chuck Grassley. You know him as a senator, and he has been all over the Biden crime family along with Ron Johnson from the Senate. And they sent a letter over to this guy. His name is Henry J. Kerner. He's the United States Special Counsel. And the Special Counsel's office is supposed to be this independent office which you can file claims with, and they go and they independently investigate other agencies so that the agencies aren't investigating themselves. As we know, they do that all the time and they find we did nothing wrong. So the Special Counsel has an office. We hear that in the Trump case, we've got Special Counsel Jack Smith. We know that there is a much less involved, much less public other Special Counsel called Robert Hur. He's investigating the Joe Biden classified documents. You're also familiar with Special Counsel Robert Mueller, for example. But there is a Special Counsel's office, and Henry J. Kerner is at the top of it. And so Chuck Grassley and Ron Johnson, they sent a letter over to Henry Kerner, and they're upset. This is fired off by a number of different Congress people. You see them here. Chuck Grassley on the Budget Committee. We have Ron Johnson, who is on the Subcommittee on Investigations. We've got Jason Smith from the House of Representatives. He is on the Committee on Ways and Means. James Comer from Oversight, and Jim Jordan, Chairman of the Judiciary. They're joining forces. The Senate and the House of Representatives coming together, smashing the rings of justice together, and sending this letter off to the Office of Special Counsel, Honorable Henry J. Kerner, from the Congress of the United States. They tell us, Dear Special Counsel, DOJ and the IRS have reportedly engaged in unlawful whistleblower retaliation against veteran IRS whistleblowers. They say multiple news reports indicate that the whistleblower and the investigative team were removed from the Hunter Biden investigation by the IRS and DOJ at their request as a retaliation for making protected whistleblower disclosures to Congress. So remember Gary Shapley and Mr. X, two whistleblowers, very experienced with the IRS. They came public, went and talked to the congressional committees, made their complaints known, were immediately removed from the Hunter Biden investigation by the IRS. They blew the whistle. They were essentially reassigned or fired. So Congress says, hey, Special Counsel's office, we are also aware that in response to these disclosures, acting special agent in charge, this guy, Kareem Carter, that he sent an email to his supervisors, including to the whistleblower, stating that no information involving the investigation can lead the field office without first going through the chain of command directive and by seeking approval from a supervisor. However, that email, that instruction from special agent in charge, Kareem, that email failed to include the anti-gag provision as required by the law, as well as included under the Appropriations Act. This anti-gag provision prohibits the use of appropriated funds and the enforcement of non-disclosure agreements or other restrictive policies that doesn't allow for lawful protected speech. In other words, you as the boss, as the special agent in charge, Kareem Carter, can't send emails gagging your team unless you notify them that there are certain things that they can talk about. Employees must be apprised of their right to make those disclosures. And so they were just sending out these blanket things to the whole team. Don't talk about this case. You're on the Hunter Biden investigation. Don't you dare say a word about this. The anti-gag provision prohibits the use of government funds if it doesn't contain the following statement. So this must be included in those types of emails, saying that you have whistleblower protection. So if you're blowing the whistle, you are allowed to talk about it. But they didn't want that included because they were trying to suppress the possibility of whistleblowers in the first place. Congress says, in addition, we have been made aware of an IRS email transmitted by the IRS Commissioner, Doug O'Donnell, to another IRS employee regarding the lawful reporting of allegations of wrongdoing and protected whistleblower disclosures. In this email, the commissioner states that he's writing because he's got concerns about allegations of wrongdoing and misconduct. Now, while the email says that the IRS is deeply committed to protecting the role of the whistleblowers, it also fails to inform their employees of their constitutional rights to make disclosures. And the law does provide them the right to make those disclosures. But Deputy Commissioner's email from the IRS states IRS employees may make disclosures to a supervisor, to a management, or to the DOJ Office of the Inspector General, but it blatantly fails to provide that that the IRS has a right to disclose to Congress. So you see what they're doing is they're trying to manage this. It's like, oh, you can file all the complaints in the world, but you have to file them in this box. And this box goes right into the shredder. So as long as you file them into the shredder, file all the complaints. We don't care. But if you dare to step out and file them in the congressional box where they'll actually read it, that's going to be a problem. And so they're constantly telling them, put them in this box, put them in this box. This is another example of the IRS seeking to chill whistleblowers from reporting to Congress. Now, the importance of protecting whistleblowers from unlawful retaliation and informing whistleblowers about their rights under the law cannot be understated. After all, it is the law. Accordingly, Special Counsel, your office, we request that you immediately investigate all allegations of retaliation against these whistleblowers and all violations related to the IRS failure to include the anti-gag provision. And we also request you immediately seek disciplinary action against all those engaged against all unlawful conduct against these whistleblowers. The IRS and the DOJ must be held accountable for all instances of retaliation against whistleblowers and misconduct, and federal agencies cannot conceal their wrongdoing behind illegal non-disclosures. We also would like a briefing to discuss the next steps with you. Thank you for your prompt attention. Sincerely, your friends, Chuck Grassley, Ron Johnson from the Senate, from the House, Jason Smith, who has been doing great work with the whistleblowers, James Comer from Oversight, and Jim Jordan from the Committee on the Judiciary. Now, that went over to the Special Counsel's office. We still don't hear much from the other Special Counsel investigating Joe Biden, but we know that this is on the heels of Hunter Biden trying to enter in a plea agreement and to get this thing done and closed. Wall Street Journal reports that Democrats say that Republicans smell blood. Hunter Biden is trying to end his legal woes while Republicans keep moving forward. In a matter of the last couple days and months, Hunter Biden settled the child support dispute. He also has indicated intention to enter a plea deal where he's going to be admitting to crimes. But Republicans pounced on this plea agreement. Weiss sent a letter that we covered here, and Joe has told everybody that he's very proud of his son. But Scott Jennings says that what's more elite than doing all the things Hunter has done, but then you get to go to the White House. Hunter Biden, in the meantime, has been seeking to set up a legal defense fund. This is according to people familiar with the effort. Richard Painter, a law professor, has been approached for help with the project, and Hunter has settled with his baby mama, and other lawyers are not responding to comment. But Abe Lowell is now Hunter's lawyer, jumped into the fray, and the team is being assembled. And I came across this story. This guy is a former Republican who has joined on the Hunter team. His name is Denver Riggleman. He's out of Virginia. And this was interesting. He is now helping Hunter. Former GOP congressman and a January 6th Select Committee advisor, you see that, is now working with Hunty Poo. So it says that D. Riggleman of Virginia served as a senior technical advisor to the J6 probe, is now working with the legal team, advising President Biden's son, Hunter, who's facing increased scrutiny. He's focused on addressing issues, assessing data issues, and has assisted Hunter's lawyers as they contend with congressional inquiries. So he's been brought on as a lobbyist, a so-called Republican. Riggleman's work with Hunter was confirmed on Tuesday by Kevin Morris, a lawyer for Hunter, saying he's been helping us with data analysis, that they're working with Hunter's lawyers, and says, I and my forensics and my telephony team are conducting data investigations and analysis with a concentration on data across the spectrum. So they're going full on offense mode in the Hunter Biden camp, saying that they are working with lobbyists now to get their message across, because owning the DOJ, I guess, is not enough. But James Comer says the Republicans are also just warming up on this, saying that there will be more to come. Says we have our first deposition lined up, and we already know more about this person who is going to be deposed.
Jason, and we're going to have an announcement hopefully next week of more findings, more disturbing findings that we found. Bank records don't lie. People make a big issue out of taxes. People cheat on their taxes all the time, but it's hard to cheat on bank records. We also are requesting more bank violations. We're hoping that Treasury will give us access to more bank violations that we believe would have information on the potential bribery charges that were alleged in the FBI document. Our investigation's moving along. We're entering the deposition phase. We're going to have Devin Archer will be the first person that was involved in the Hunter Biden business dealings, or whatever you want to call them. He'll be the first person that we depose, and we have a list of who's who Devin Archer, were involved in the Biden organization that we plan on deposing throughout the summer.
I want to get your reaction to the cocaine found at the White House. The Oversight Committee actually has jurisdiction of the White House. What's your take on that? And do you believe that the Secret Service will actually report to Congress and provide the information about where they believe where it came from?
Well, as you know, Jason, the first step is we've requested a briefing from the Secret Service and thank you for making the point that the House Oversight Committee has jurisdiction over the Secret Service. So we're expecting to be briefed on that. We have concerns about national security risk. Obviously, there are a lot of explanations that could be made for what happened there. But, you know, at the end of the day, with all the money and all the security that we have around the White House, something like this should never happen. And we're concerned about the fact that the president's son, who we've said for 7 months now is a risk to our national security, is spending so much time in the White House. We have reports that say he's spending more time there than Joe Biden's actually spending there, because we don't really know where Hunter Biden lives unless he's living in the White House. And that's a concern, because go back to the laptop that they want to deny. The people that he associated himself with for a 4-year time period are very questionable characters. Many of them are incarcerated. Many of them are in court that are currently going through many trials.
That's James Comer saying we're entering the deposition phase, which of course we are going to be looking forward to. Devin Archer and many other people, the tentacles of the Biden crime family extend all over the place. And of course, we are going to continue to cover it, my friends. So thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for inviting somebody to come over and join us on this channel. We look forward to seeing you on the next one.